Okay, or not. We'll start the meeting. Okay. So we're going to welcome to the December 14th Town of Lansing Zoning Board of Appeals meeting. Tonight we have three things on our agenda. The minutes, we have a public hearing, and we're going to be doing interviews for Zoning Board of Appeals members for 2022. At this point, Heather, you can go ahead and let in the applicant while we are dealing with the approval of the minutes, if that's okay. So I call the meeting to order. Do we need a vote on that?
No, you don't.
Okay. But I do just want to, for the record, so everybody, so Heather has it, we'll just kind of go around and say who's present. So this is Judy Drake. Maureen?
Yes.
Maureen
Here.
Cowan? Okay, Rick? Rick Hayes?
See there?
We have Mary Stowe and we have Jack Young as the members. Tonight, Jack Young will be being a voting member and will be our fifth person. So we are having the alternate vote tonight. So the first thing on our agenda are the minutes for the November 9th meeting. Would somebody like to move the November 9th minutes?
I so move.
Mary, is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Rick. And any comments, corrections for the minutes? Okay, seeing none. All those in favor of approving the November 9th minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed and abstentions. Okay, so the minutes pass. Thank you, Heather, for putting them together. So we'll move on to our public hearing. Sharon, just for your information, we will open the public hearing and we will have some comments during that time period. Once we close the public hearing, all the public comments have come to an end, and it's really for the board to discuss. If the board members have any questions, they can ask a question directly, but it's not supposed to be a complete back and forth, just so you know. Okay. So we'll be having a public hearing for consideration of an appeal made by Sharon Olin. Am I saying that right? Okay. 456 Ridge Road, tax parcel number 32.1-34, located in the residential low density R1 zoning district. The applicant is proposing to construct an 8-foot tall fence and is requesting an area variance from the Town of Lansing zoning law, section 270-24, which permits fencing up to 6 feet in height. This is a type 2 action under the State Environmental Quality Review Act. Would somebody like to move this into the public hearing?
I'll move in to put it in the public hearing.
Second.
Okay, Mary and Rick. Okay, all those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, abstention. Okay, so we're now in the public hearing. Sharon, if you would like to start off giving, just telling us a little bit more about your request and why you're making the request and how we got here.
Okay, well, you all have received my application for an area variance regarding the height of my privacy fence, as well as many supporting documents. To respect your time, I won't go into great detail, but I'm happy to answer any questions or make clarifications if needed. I hope my application and supporting documents have proven that the benefit of granting this variance outweighs any burdens. In closing, I did have a chance to review the letter provided by the residents of 460 Ridge Road, and this was the first time I have heard any concerns about my lilac bush. I would be happy to cut that back. I also have additional measurements in relation to the distance the fence is from the road. For example, the beginning of the fence from the white line is 34 feet. This allows for plenty of visibility for motorists exiting driveways. Thank you for your time.
Okay, and actually, you're Jennifer, right?
I'm Sharon.
You're Sharon, okay.
I'm Sharon.
I'm Jennifer.
This is
her
Jennifer.
You're
daughter.
Jennifer, okay. I
I'm
thought I saw
helping her
another.
with the Zoom aspect of this.
Okay, well, thank you.
Computer savvy.
And Sharon, how long lengthwise was the fence proposed to be?
Around 75 feet.
Around 70, about 75 feet long.
Okay,
Yeah. It's just so that they cannot see into my front yard. I'm sorry, I don't get that.
that's okay. It's a good reminder for us all. Make sure they're on.
Yeah, I just-
silent.
It's just so that, I can feel comfortable being in my front yard, working in my flower beds and in my yard without feeling
In
the,
your bedroom.
and in my bedroom without feeling that, I'm being watched or filmed, and it's just been, difficult to feel
Okay.
comfortable in my own home.
Okay, and you started to put up the fence and were unaware that you needed to have a permit to put up the fence.
Oh, did I need a permit? Do I need a permit to put up the fence?
You were, yes, she was unaware that she
Oh,
needed, yes.
Yeah, no, I guess I didn't know that, no.
Okay, and I'm assuming then you were unaware that there was a 6-foot height variant or 6-foot height requirement.
Right, I was unaware of that, but their property sits up higher than mine. So if the fence is only 6 feet high, they can still, look into my front yard from their steps and their front porch.
Okay. I'll turn it over to board members. Any questions that any of you want to ask at this time?
If your the neighboring property changed hands, would you want to leave the fence there in that case, or would you take it down in that case?
Well, I would consider taking it down if the property was sold, but I don't think it's going to be. I don't think that's a possibility.
No, I was just wondering, there's, sometimes, you didn't have a fence there to begin with. And so I was just curious whether you would want to leave it there if the neighboring property changed hands, you didn't have the issues you've been dealing with.
Well, probably, I wouldn't feel that I would need to probably keep it,
Okay.
but I just, they would probably like it if I sold the house and moved, but I love my home and I don't want to move, so.
Yeah, I was just curious because sometimes boards will put a condition on a grant that condition would expire in the event of some eventuality taking place. But in this case, you'd like to have permission to have that fence up and potentially leave it up even if the source of the problem that prompted you to put it up was no longer there.
No, I'd be okay with taking it down if the property next to me changed hands.
Okay, but I mean, we don't have to make that a condition. I was just curious what your thoughts were in case anyone
no,
else.
I
thought
would-
that was.
I wouldn't have a problem with taking it down if the property changed hands.
Okay.
Other questions?
Off the property line is the fence being built.
It's
Well, the fence is way off of the property line. It's
18 feet.
It's 18 feet from the property line to the last pole. So it's quite a ways from the property line.
Maureen?
Yeah, is the fence just that one section, or are you fencing off some of your front yard as well?
Well, it is this in the front yard, not the backyard.
It's
Solely
the
the
front
front-
yard, but I'm talking about the the portion of your yard that faces the road, is the fence gonna make an angle and go
No.
around? No,
No,
it's
no,
just one side, one side.
right. Mhm, yeah.
Okay. And the other question, how long have you been at your property?
I think about 11 years, maybe.
Quite a while, right?
Yeah.
Right. And this is the first time you've thought about putting up a fence?
Well, I've thought about it before, but I didn't feel it was necessary until this summer with the events that happened. It seems to be escalating instead of things getting better. It feels like they're getting more difficult.
So the main reason that you want the fence is privacy,
Right,
the
Right.
height and the distance. Is that correct?
right, correct.
Lines from the light from the road.
Hmm?
And traffic from the road.
And the traffic from the road too, the lights coming down the hill. It'll
Okay.
keep them from coming in my windows too.
And the reason why you went with 8 feet is because you don't feel that 6 feet provides that privacy?
Right, right, because their property sits up higher than mine and their steps, if it was just 6 feet, they could still look into my front yard.
And I think you or perhaps people who wrote letters say that the driveway clearance is okay. Is that correct?
Right, correct.
Has anybody objected to the driveway clearance? Have there been any accidents in that area?
No, there's been no accidents, no.
Okay. I know just north of there, there's been several accidents on the curve of the road, but I don't know about where your section is in particular.
No, because the fence starts 34 feet from the white line of the road.
Okay,
So that gives them quite a distance to see up and down the road.
okay. Thank you.
Mhm.
So, you're inclined to maybe trim the bushes down a little bit if that will help
Yes,
with you there.
right. Nothing's ever been mentioned to me about the lilac bush. Yes, I would definitely trim it back. I have no problem with that.
Okay.
Okay. Anybody else have any questions for Sharon? Okay. Heather, there's somebody on the phone. Do we know who that is? Okay. The person that's on the phone, do you want to address the board during this public hearing on 456 Ridge Road fence?
They're muted.
Yeah. John, you're on mute.
Two people.
Do you guys recognize the numbers at all? Okay. The phone number 607-5922, sorry, 0849. Do you want to address the public hearing on the 456 Ridge Road?
There's somebody there.
Do either of the people that are on the phone want to address the board regarding the public hearing that we're having? If so, please come off mute. Okay. Oh, there we go.
There's one.
Do you want to address the board? phone number 33088802686. I'm saying that right. Do you want to address the board during this public hearing?
Hello, I'm just listening.
Okay. So you do not want to address the board?
No, ma'am.
Okay. All right, just want to make sure that we're giving everybody that opportunity. The other phone number, 5920849, do you want to address the board? Or are you just listening? Yeah, they're not responding, so we're going to assume they're just listening. Does anybody else have any more questions for the applicant? Any more discussion with the applicant at this time? And sorry, I just want clarity, I believe from Scott Russell's letter that it is, the fence is 8 feet. So we're not talking about the fence on top of the mulch. It is just 8 feet.
That's correct.
Okay. So we're talking about a 2-foot variance at this point.
Correct.
Okay. If we're ready to come out of the public hearing, somebody want to make that motion or unless
I'll
you
make
have
a
more
motion.
I'll
Okay, Rick?
second.
Okay, Maureen.
Um,
All those in favor of closing the public hearing, all in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Abstention. Okay. So now we're out of the public hearing and we're back to the board for deliberation. So what do people think?
So I actually checked it out the other day, just to kind of familiarize myself with what we would be talking about today. And the neighbor's property is quite a bit higher, so I can see why the applicant would want a little bit higher of a. I didn't see where any obstruction would happen for the other neighbor, because that road can get busy, especially once that bridge gets back into rotation again.
Right.
I didn't see that. I mean, I turned around in the driveway, I didn't see anything like that. So that's just my 2 cents on it.
I think my biggest concern was obstruction of view, because like I said earlier, I do know just north of there've been several accidents. And so I was concerned about that. I drove by as well. I think that when the bridge opens up, there will be a lot more traffic. But I agree with Mary that I don't think the obstruction is there.
I have a couple of photographs that I could share the screen with if anybody would like to see those, or if you didn't get a chance to drive by. So if you think that would help, just let me know and I'll share them.
I drove by, but I'd still like to see the photos.
Okay. All right. Are you able to see?
Yes.
Okay. So this is the hood of the town truck. This is the fence in question, and this is the applicant's home over here on the far side of the fence. This is the offending lilac bush, but there is quite a bit of clearance between the between the fence and the road.
Okay.
And then this is from the other direction, just to give you a feel of what it would look like. So this is coming from the applicant's house now, vice versa. So okay.
That lilac bush could be kind of in the road right away too. A little bit, it's probably close.
Yes.
But yeah. Okay.
Yeah, certainly my experience from driving into the driveway today was that lilac bush was certainly likely to be an impediment during the summer months, but the fence didn't seem to be a problem for anybody. So I agree with all the comments that have been made and with John's assessment as well.
I'm just going to add that lilac bushes survive good pruning.
Pretty sure.
Yep.
Yes, they do. And it does seem like we could put something in regarding the lilac bush, or no, just because we are just addressing the fence.
I think you probably could.
Well, and the owner is agreeable to doing that as well, so I agree.
Yeah, I have no problem with cutting back that lilac bush. It's never been brought to my attention before, so I'd be glad to cut it back.
It'll bloom more.
Yeah, I know.
Any other discussion with the board, or do we want to consider our findings? Okay, seeing none, I guess we'll move to our findings. I'll just start. We have a draft resolution that has been provided to us. I'll skip over the whereases and jump to the resolve. The Town of Lansing Zoning Board of Appeals hereby makes the following findings with respect to the specific criteria for an area variance as set forth in Town Law, Section 267-B3B, and other applicable provisions of law and the zoning ordinance. So our first question to answer is whether an undesirable change will be produced in the character of the neighborhood or a detriment to nearby properties will be created by the granting of the area variance.
Say no.
No,
No. Any rationale behind the findings that we want to add? I think the fence is, far enough away from the neighboring home.
And road.
and property line.
Okay. Whether the benefit sought by the applicant can be achieved by some method feasible for the applicant to pursue other than an area variance. I would say no. I guess the only other thing that comes to my mind is planting a whole bunch of pine trees or something along that same area.
I was thinking the same thing.
There could be more plantings, extend that lilac bush all the way down. But that kind of take years to grow to that kind of aspect.
Right.
Have you, there been any consideration of doing something other than a fence?
Well, planting trees, I mean, it takes so long for trees to grow.
You planted them in the front on the road.
I did plant them in the front of my house, but it takes forever for them to grow and you can still see through them and.
Okay. So I'm thinking no. That people in agreement?
Right.
No, I agree.
Okay.
No, nothing feasible, right? Okay.
Okay. How about not feasible in a timely manner?
Mhm.
Whether the requested area variance is substantial. So it is 2 feet that is being asked for. Do we feel that that is substantial?
No,
No.
I think 10 feet might, but 2 feet, no.
Right.
Especially on a hill, when you're on the downside.
And I would say, it's a small amount, and like we've already talked about, coming down the road, it is the height makes the difference in the elevation
Mhm.
of the road. Whether the proposed variance will have an adverse effect or impact on the physical or environmental conditions in the neighborhood or district.
No.
I would say no.
I'd say no. It seems like she's got support from her neighbors, so they're not negatively affected by it.
Some of the neighbors.
Right.
Okay. And whether the alleged difficulty was self-created. In this aspect, I would say yes, since they already started building the fence prior to having
The approval, yeah. It seems to make sense.
Okay. So determination based on the above factors. It is hereby determined by the Town of Lansing Zoning Board of Appeals that the following area variance is based on our
Granted.
findings, I would say granted.
Yes.
Okay, with any conditions hereafter stated. And being further found and determined that the benefit of the applicant outweighs any potential negative impact or detriment to the neighborhood or community, and such area variants are the minimum necessary to adequately to grant relief and at the same time preserve and protect the character of the neighborhood and the safety and welfare of the community. Description of the specific variance granted is construction of an 8-foot high fence where a 6-foot is the minimum permitted height. Any conditions imposed with respect to the area variance is granted. I would say yes. And we have our normal first one that it can expire. And let's see, detriment upon. And then I would suggest maybe adding a condition that the lilac bush is pruned back to provide better sight distance. Is that a good way? Is there any, John, is there any
Ability.
yeah, is there any, like, it needs to be pruned back 1 foot or anything like that that we need to add to that, or just pruned back is?
Well, the more specific you can get, the better. But there's no standard if that's what you're asking for.
Anybody have any wording that you would recommend in there? You guys okay with just saying, pruning it back to?
Well, if
you
we
could
knew
say-
the height, the current height, we could just ask them to take it down 2 feet or something.
Well,
because I
I'm not
think
sure
it-
it's not the height. I think you want to get rid of the density.
Yeah.
Well, you do that when you prune it. Yeah, you take out the old, larger.
You could
Branches.
say, yeah, you could just say, prune it to an extent sufficient to provide good visibility of the road, at all seasons.
I like that.
Sounds great.
Jack, that was very nice.
Yes, thank you.
Well, do we,
Okay.
if I'm on a roll, do we also want to put in fence, length of the fence not to exceed 75 feet?
I agree with that.
Yeah,
Okay. And do we want to say that it cannot be changed so that it's any closer to the road than it is already started?
Yeah.
So I don't know how many feet it is from the road or right away or anything like that, but wherever it is started, it can't go any closer to the road. Does that make sense?
I think she said it was like 34 feet or something like that. Is that what you said?
It was 34 feet from the road.
Could I just say that the 75 feet in length, that's kind of like an estimate. I'm not exactly sure. 50 feet is already done. And there's 2 more sections to be added on. So we say 100, I mean.
Well, if we look at the photo, we may be able to see how many feet each section is. If what's built so far has been 50 feet, maybe John can look at his,
Maybe you can see the
picture.
post. Oh, no, you can't.
we'd have to see it from the other side, wouldn't we?
Are they just standard panels? So like, are they 8x8 panels?
I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, I can't imagine that they're any wider than 8 feet.
Yeah,
Oh, that that picture there.
This one?
Yeah, that's the. Hard
I
to
mean,
see
the
the
post-
supports on the other side.
Looks
The
like
posts are,
5,
are already in the ground.
looks
I
like
don't
5.
See the
panels.
post.
So the posts are in the ground, so you can see where it's gonna go.
Yeah, the posts are in the ground, but I don't see, I don't see the posts in that picture.
I don't know if I have a good,
Yeah, I don't,
So you said it was 50 feet right now is what's up, you
yeah,
think?
yeah. Mhm.
Okay, so if they were 2 8-foot sections, that'd be 16 feet or 66 feet total. So, you know, if you, I mean, 75 covers it, but
Yeah, I think you're right.
Okay,
Can you go back to your very first picture? It was a little farther away.
yep.
So if it's double that length, I would be comfortable with that because it would put
oh, you can see
it
the
past
post
it.
right there,
Yeah,
the last post, yeah, that's how much farther it is to be built.
Well, that looks like 70. If it's 50 now, that's going to be fine for 75.
Okay.
That looks
Yeah.
about
Right.
right.
Okay,
absolutely.
so
Okay.
we're agreeing on 75 feet in length and cannot go any closer to the road than it already is.
Correct.
Correct.
All right,
that last post, that's where it's gonna end? Is that
yes,
correct? You
yeah,
wanna say that it doesn't go past that last post that's already established?
it's not going past that last post that's in the ground.
Right, that's what I'm saying is like, do we as a board want to say, instead of putting a number on that, do we want to say the fence,
Oh, okay,
that last post?
yeah, that'd be good.
Well, it's harder years from now to determine which the last post was.
Okay.
So
Easier
I
to
mean,
just measure the fence, say 75 feet.
yeah.
okay. Anything else as a condition? Are people pretty satisfied with that?
Sounds good.
Okay,
That's good.
all right. Thank you, John, for stop sharing. So the vote of the foregoing decision, determination, and resolution of the Town of Lansing Zoning Board of Appeals was as follows. Would somebody like to move this motion?
I'll move it.
Rick? Is there a second? Maureen?
Yeah.
Okay. And so I'll call your name and just say your vote. Maureen Cowan,
Yes.
Judy Drake is yes. Richard Hayes,
Yes.
Mary Stowe,
Yes,
Jack Young.
Yes.
Okay, so this variance is passed and as the motion has passed. So Sharon, you have been granted this variance and you can follow up with the codes department in the morning.
Thank you very much. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Okay, so we will move on at this point for our interviews of candidates for the Zoning Board of Appeals. To do this, we will move to go into executive session for the purposes of personnel history of a particular person. Would somebody like to move going into executive session?
I'll move.
Okay, Mary, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, Rick. All those in favor of going into executive session, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, abstention. Okay, so we are moving into executive session. So that means only the board, Heather Bronwyn and John can stay on. Heather, can you put others in the waiting room or whatever we need to do at this point? Okay. Okay, so we are out of executive session. We have been discussing vacancies on the zoning board. We interviewed 3 candidates, 2 that we feel are very interested in the zoning board. One that we would like to have interested in the zoning board if it works out. But we did talk about having a motion to have Jack Young be recommended for our 5-year full term appointment. Having Susan Tabrizi,
Yes.
okay, as to fulfill a term that is already partially used by Pete Larson. So, and if interested, Aaron Wursel for the alternate, word it that way. Would somebody like to move that?
I'll move it.
Okay, Rick, is there a second? Maureen? Okay, any discussion? No. Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed and abstention. Okay. Heather, you can make that all sound really well for me, okay? Great. John or Heather or Bronwyn, anything else to come to the board tonight that we need to be aware of or brought up on?
No, we're all squared away on our end. I hope you folks have a great holiday season.
Okay.
I
Bronwyn?
was just gonna follow up really quickly on the email I sent about masks and what your thoughts were, and it looks like that's been taken care of at the state and county level. So thank you for your input and thoughts, and we're gonna follow what's happening on those levels. So.
Okay, so we'll just be watching whatever the executive order is for whether the law is going to be extended for open meetings law.
Right.
Okay. Okay. So I would like to thank Maureen for her years of being on the zoning board. You have brought an excellent perspective, great questions over the years, and a very level head. So I really appreciate all the time that we have gotten to serve together on the zoning board, and there's been lots of changes during that time period. So,
Yes.
so I appreciate that and your time and your dedication to the Lansing community. So thank you.
You're welcome. And this has been a really good meeting to finish with and turn over vacancies. I was surprised to see Susan there, and I'm so glad she's well, hopefully she'll take a position. And mostly I am so glad we have 2 town planners. And I'm glad that John is there. It's really good. I mean, I started working with the town in various volunteer things way before we had a planner. And we had a part-time planner and a couple of part-time planners. And all of them were really good to work with, but it's excellent to really have 2 planners. That's wonderful. And nice to have a mix of ages on the board and younger people coming in here. So it's really good.
Yeah.
It's a great note to leave on. I'll miss everyone. I'll miss the meetings. I really have found it very interesting and educational.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good luck, Maureen.
Yep. I have to go attend to my puppy. She keeps me quite busy.
Okay, if there's nothing else, then call for adjournment. Would somebody like to move us and move adjournment?
I'll move
Okay.
that.
Okay, is there a second?
Get it, Maureen.
Okay, Rick. All those in favor of adjournment, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, everybody have a really nice holiday season. Enjoy the snow if it falls. Be safe.
Be
Mask
safe,
up.
be healthy, enjoy.
Yes, great.
Guys.
Great.
Thank you.
Night.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.